Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at what's coming month. In today's video, we'll take us well into March, into the first month of the spring. With this update, we're going to look at the Japanese and CFS B2 models, as we always do on a Friday. It is JMA Friday, so we're looking at the coming month's weather as predicted by these two experimental long-range seasonal models. Well, before you get on with that, just very quick to mention the ads that Gas over. It says links to articles on all of the pages. You can have a browse through widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, you'll be helping to pay for our website. And thanks very much for doing that. And just say the links to the JMA and CFSB2 websites can be found on the links page, so you can see all of these charts yourself if you would like to do that. So let's start off with 500 millibar height anomalies from the JMA. These are broken down into weekly periods, as you know, with height anomaly charts. Blue will be extrapolating to low pressure, and orange, yellow, red extrapolates to high pressure. So the first week will take us through the week that we're in, the 19th through to the 26th of February. What we see for the coming week, quite an unsettled week coming up. Trough of low pressure sitting up to the north of the country with a ridge down to the south. The jet stream is going a bit like that. So again, another unsettled week coming up. I think we'll have further bouts of rain moving through the country. Could be quite cool at times as well, because the flow and the jet stream is coming down a bit like that, really. So it's on a bit of a northwest southeast trajectory, which could drive cooler air into the country at times. That's particularly most likely for the north, but all places could feel chilly at times through the course of the coming week. Week 2, which takes us from the 26th of February through to the 4th of March, so into the new month, shows again a trough of low pressure dominated weather almost right over the top of the country with this. So the jet stream is going south. It's doing something a bit like that. Probably on the cold side of the jet there, and fairly unsettled as well under this trough of low pressure. That's a really unsettled end to February and beginning of March. Could be quite cool, and very unsettled conditions continue through that week. And then the final 2-week period, this takes us well into March. It's going from the 4th through to the 18th of March. Does show a change. We sent the trough over towards the east of the country, so that's in over Scandinavia, and we get this ridge building through the Atlantic. It is stretching up to this northern blocking up to the north of the country. So what the flow is doing there, we're going something a bit like that. It could be quite cool, this, but it is turning a lot drier. This ridge building through the central Atlantic will be blocking off the Atlantic, and I think we could be looking at much drier conditions there through the first half of March. Albeit, I think it could be quite chilly at times. Wouldn't rule out some frost. And if this ridge in the Atlantic was to go further north and really set up with this blocking feature, then it could actually start to turn really very cold indeed, opening the door to those northeast winds. It doesn't show that with JMA. It isn't that dramatic, but it is fairly cool, I would think, that, with particularly a risk of night frost. And the main thing probably is that it's becoming significantly drier. There will be much drier conditions going on there. Let's have a look at the temperature precipitation anomalies for the next month. This is the mid-latitude view. That was the Northern Hemisphere view, looking down from the Northern Hemisphere, or looking down at the Northern Hemisphere from the North Pole. This is the mid-latitude view. So on this chart, the British Isles is just here in the far top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. The coming week, this is taking us again from the 19th through 26th, looking a bit milder than average, with particularly for England and Wales, temperatures a little bit above average. I think it will be cooler than that, though, up in the north. The rainfall anomaly, unsurprisingly, is coming out wetter than average, so another pretty wet week coming up. Week 2, which is the 26th of February through to the 4th of March, shows temperatures about average, cooler than average in the north and west, near normal further eastwards. It isn't as mild as that first weekly period. And the rainfall anomaly, again, and won't be surprised, there's a deep trough sitting right on top of the country during this week. So rainfall anomaly is coming out above average, a wetter than average end to what will be a very wet winter And then as we go through to week 3 and week 4, this is where that ridge is building through the Atlantic. So it's coming out with near normal temperatures here, not particularly cold. Although I think nights with that ridge building to the west would be quite cold. And it is turning drier as well, so that's really the good news. If that ridge builds through the Atlantic, the rainfall starts to ease off. And that first 2 weeks of March, looking significantly drier there across most parts of the country. That's the JMA. Let's have a look at the CFS V2. Again, these are 500 millimile heights broken down into week periods. The first week period is taking us from the 19th through to 25th of February. So we've got a trough of low pressure for the coming week to the north, ridge out to the southwest and over to the east of Europe. The jet stream is going something like that. So it's an unsettled week again coming up, and quite cool as well. That jet stream is aligned northwest to southeast with the air coming more or less from Greenland, that sort of northern part of the Atlantic Ocean. So not going to be severely cold, but certainly a bit chilly, I think, at times for the coming week, and especially so for the north. Week 2, which is 26th of February through to the 3rd of March. Again, unsettled week coming up here. Trough of low pressure is going to the south of us, and it's still around Greenland. We've got this ridge through the Atlantic and ridge extending up across Scandinavia and beginning to go up towards the Arctic. Quite a complicated pattern, but the overall gist of it for us is for the flow to be going rather like that. So again, probably on the cool side of the jet stream there. I think we would be on the cool side of the jet stream. And this trough of low pressure could actually bring the air in from the east or the northeast at times. So that could be a fairly chilly week there for the end of February into March. This is at odds with the JMA, really, for this week, because that wants a milder week there from 26th through to the 3rd of March. So this is going to be colder than that was suggesting. Week 3, which is the 4th of March through to the 10th, showing ridge building again to the west of the country. So this is turning it drier. It's extending up to the north a bit as well. So again, quite a complicated pattern, but I think the flow is going a bit like that. It would be significantly drier. Quite what the temperatures will be doing there, I'm not sure. If that ridge is centred over the country, you could have some fairly cold nights but pleasant days. The danger is that we start to bring the air in from the northeast, though, which in early March would be a pretty cold direction. So I would say that's a lot drier. What the temperatures are doing, I'm not entirely certain. I think probably could be fairly chilly, especially at night. And if the northeast wind starts to get in, then it could be chilly by day as well. And then finally, week 4, which is the 11th through to the 17th of March. Well, we've got hints of northern blocking here over top of the pole. It's been scaled back from what we was looking at with these charts yesterday, but the hints are still there for some blocking over the top of the pole. We've got this ridge down to the southwest as well, with a trough of low pressure going something like that. Again, this could be quite chilly, really, with the jet stream going a bit like that. So again, I think fairly dry conditions. That ridge is quite close to us. So the signals are as we're going into March and it's going to turn dry. I think that's the strongest signal. The temperatures are a little bit uncertain here. I think the model is going to come out with milder than average temperatures, really, but I think it could be cooler than that, and this could be a fairly dry, cool period, I think, as we're going through the first half of March. Let's have a look at the temperatures. So the coming week is coming out with above average temperatures once again. I don't think it'll be as mild as that. I would suggest nearer normal, but perhaps a little bit on the above average side. Week 2, that's coming out colder than average from the 26th of February through to the 3rd of March. Got a slightly colder than average week coming up there to end the winter. Week 3, this is that ridge is building to the west. That's going milder than average, a warmer than average week being suggested by the model, and that continues into week 4. Now, I think that needs scaling back. I don't think it'll be as mild as that. It'll be critical where that ridge is sitting, but if it's just to the west of us, the flow is going to be generally northerly. So certainly at night, I think we'll get some chilly nights, and days could be quite pleasant if the high is centred over us. in March, the days will be starting to warm up. The sun's returning to our hemisphere, of course, in March. So some pleasantly mild days, but cold nights could be the suggestion for March. But if that ridge is just to the west, we're going to be pulling down northerly, maybe even northeasterly winds, and that would have quite a big impact on bringing down the temperatures. The precipitation for the next month looking like this. The coming week generally a bit wetter than average, especially so in the north and west. Another wet week coming up from the 26th through to the 3rd of March. That's looking wetter than average, and quite a cold week coming up there as well, so it could be a little bit of wintry potential. Then as we go through to the 4th to the 10th of March, we're going towards drier than average conditions. That ridge is building out to the west of the country, so a drier than average week coming up there. And although it's a weak signal for week 4, the 11th through 17th of March, the suggestion again is a little bit on the drier side. So I think overall we are seeing quite a strong signal here between these two models for a pattern change as we get through into March. It's been a very wet it's been a very wet winter. It started back in November and it's not really let off for any length of time. I think we are looking at a change as we get through to March, with a significantly drier signal coming through for March. We've got more uncertain whether to get out of the way for the rest of February. As we get through to March, the signal is to turn it drier. And quite what temperatures are doing, that's what I'm uncertain about. It could be that we have some pleasantly mild days, but frosty nights. It could be that it's just generally quite chilly, really. It'll be very critical where that area of high pressure, where the ridge is sitting. The overall signs that a ridge will build as we get through into March. Its exact position will determine the temperatures. So that's it for now. I think it's fairly good news, really. As we go through to March, we should see significantly drier weather coming through. So we've had enough of all the rain. Probably not much longer to go before we get a lengthy spell of drier weather. That's it for now. It's a weekend forecast coming up tomorrow, so come back for that. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.